Hello everyone, welcome to Anatophysio Hub. This is third video of Osteology of Upper Limb video series. In this video, we learn about osteology of humerus. In this video, I will cover articulation of humerus, parts and main features of humerus, attachments, humerus fractures, important relations and important clinical terms. Okay, humerus is the long bone of arm extending from the shoulder to elbow, and humerus proximally articulation with glenoid cavity of the scapula and form glenohumeral joint or shoulder joint, and also humerus distally articulation with head of the radius and trochlear notch of the ulna and form elbow joint. And humerus has main three parts: proximal extremity or proximal end, distal extremity or distal end, and body or shaft. Okay, you can see this is the humerus. Humerus has main three part: proximal end or proximal extremity, distal end or distal extremity, and the shaft or body of the humerus. And this is the articulation of humerus. Proximally articulate with the glenoid cavity of scapula and form shoulder joint. Distal articulate with the radius and ulna and form elbow joint. Now we learn about main features of proximal extremity. Proximal extremity has head, anatomical neck, greater tubercle, lesser tubercle, intertubercular sulcus or bicipital groove, surgical neck. You can see this is the head of the humerus, this is the anatomical neck, this is the greater tubercle, this is the lesser tubercle, this is the intertubercular sulcus or bicipital groove, and this is the surgical neck. Okay, now we expand them. Head is rounded, smooth articular surface, forms 1/3 of a sphere, and directed medially, superiorly and posteriorly. And head of the humerus articulate with glenoid cavity and form shoulder joint. Second one is anatomical neck. It is slight constriction surrounding the head, and it's important because capsule of shoulder joint attach here, but fractures are rare at the anatomical neck. Third one is greater tubercle. It is large, rough lateral prominence, and greater tubercle give insertion for three muscle. They are supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. Next one is lesser tubercle. It is small anterior projection medial to the greater tubercle, and it give insertion for one muscle. It is subscapularis. Next one is intertubercular sulcus or bicipital groove. It is deep groove between tubercles on anterior surface, and it's lodge bicep long head tendon, and also it give insertion for three muscle. They are latissimus dorsi, teres major, and pectoralis major. Next one is surgical neck. It is constricted area below tubercle, and surgical neck is clinically important because it is common fracture site. And surgical neck related to two structures. They are axillary nerve and the circumflex humeral vessels. Okay, you can see this is the head of the humerus. It is smooth, rounded articular surface, forms 1/3 of sphere, and articulate with the glenoid cavity of scapula and form shoulder joint. And this is the greater tubercle. Lateral large projection, give insertion for three muscle: supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. This is lesser tubercle. Lesser tubercle is anterior projection medial to the greater tubercle, give insertion for one muscle: subscapularis. And this is anatomical neck. This is give attachment for the shoulder joint capsule. and this is intertubercular sulcus or bicipital groove. This groove lodge tendon of long head of bicep brachii, and this is ligament transverse humeral ligament bridge the two tubercles. And also intertubercular sulcus has three part: lateral lip, medial lip, and the floor. Lateral lip give insertion for the pectoralis major muscles, and the medial lip give insertion for the teres major muscle, and the floor of sulcus give insertion for the latissimus dorsi. And this is the two structures, axillary nerve and the posterior circumflex humeral artery. So surgical neck fracture leads to damage circumflex humeral artery and axillary nerve. Okay, now we learn about main features of body or shaft of the humerus. They are deltoid tuberosity, radial or spiral groove, medial supracondylar ridge, lateral supracondylar ridge. Okay, you can see this is the deltoid tuberosity, this is the radial groove of humerus, and this is lateral supracondylar ridge, and this is medial supracondylar ridge near to distal end. Okay, now we expand them. Deltoid tuberosity is rough triangular elevation on anterior lateral surface and give insertion for the deltoid muscle. Radial or spiral groove, it is shallow depression on posterior surface and running obliquely. And spiral groove contain two structures. They are radial nerve and profunda brachii vessels. So midshaft fracture of the humerus leads to damage these two structures. Next one is medial supracondylar ridge and the lateral supracondylar ridge. Medial supracondylar ridge above the medial epicondyle, and lateral supracondylar ridge above the lateral epicondyle. And medial supracondylar ridge give origin for pronator teres muscles, and the lateral supracondylar ridge give origin for brachioradialis and extensocarpi radialis longus muscle. Okay, you can see this is deltoid tuberosity, give insertion for deltoid muscle and located anterior lateral surface of mid shaft. And this is radial groove, this is a shallow groove in posterior surface and runs obliquely. And this groove contains two structures, profunda brachii artery and the radial nerve. So, midshaft fracture of the humerus leads to damage radial nerve and the profunda brachial artery. And this is lateral supracondylar ridge and the medial supracondylar ridge. Lateral supracondylar ridge located superior to the lateral epicondyle. Medial supracondylar ridge located superior to the medial epicondyle. And lateral supracondylar ridge give origin for the brachioradialis muscle and extensocarpi radialis longus muscle, and the medial supracondylar ridge give origin for the pronator teres. Okay, now we learn about main features of distal extremity. They are capitulum, trochlear, coronoid fossa, radial fossa, olecranon fossa, medial epicondyle and lateral epicondyle. Okay, you can see this is capitulum, this is trochlea, this is radial fossa, this is coronoid fossa, this is olecranon fossa. And this is lateral epicondyle, this is medial epicondyle. Okay, first we expand first two structure, capitulum and trochlea. Capitulum is rounded articular surface on lateral side and articulate with head of the radius. Trochlea is pulley shaped medial articular surface and it articulate with trochlear notch of ulna. Okay, you can see this is capitulum and trochlea. Capitulum is lateral rounded articular surface. It articulate with head of the radius and form humeroradial joint. And this is trochlea. Trochlea is medial pulley-shaped articular surface. It articulates with trochlear notch of the ulna and form humero-ulnar joint. And these humero-ulnar joint and humeral radio joint involve to elbow joint. Now we expand three fossa: coronoid fossa, radial fossa and olecranon fossa. Coronoid fossa anterior depression above trochlea, radial fossa anterior depression above capitulum, and olecranon fossa deep posterior depression above trochlea. And coronoid fossa receive coronoid process of ulna during flexion, and radial fossa receive radius head margin during flexion, and olecranon fossa receive olecranon process of ulna during extension. Okay, you can see three fossa: radial fossa, coronoid fossa and the olecranon fossa. Radial fossa is anterior fossa or anterior depression above the capitulum. Coronoid fossa is anterior depression above the trochlea. And the olecranon fossa is posterior deep depression above the trochlea. Radial fossa receive margin of the head of the radius during flexion. Coronoid fossa receive coronoid process during flexion, and olecranon fossa receive olecranon process during extension. Now we expand two epicondyle, medial epicondyle and lateral epicondyle. Medial epicondyle is large medial projection, lateral epicondyle is small lateral projection. So medial epicondyle is more prominent, and medial epicondyle give attachment for, actually origin for, common flexor tendon, and lateral epicondyle give attachment for common extensor tendon, actually origin. And medial epicondyle related to ulnar nerve. It leads to funny bone sensation. You can experience this by tap to the medial epicondyle and experience tingling sensation of medial half of forearm and hand. And this is lateral epicondyle, give attachment for common extensor tendon, and inflammation of lateral epicondyle called lateral epicondylitis or tennis elbow. Okay, you can see lateral epicondyle and the medial epicondyle. Lateral epicondyle is small lateral projection, medial epicondyle is large medial projection. Lateral epicondyle give origin for common extensor tendon, and medial epicondyle give origin for common flexor tendon. Okay, now we learn about main attachments of humerus. Supraspinatus, infraspinatus and teres minor insert to greater tubercle, and the subscapularis muscle insert to lesser tubercle. Pectoralis major muscle insert to lateral lip of intertubercular groove, and the teres major muscle insert medial lip of intertubercular groove, and the latissimus dorsi muscle insert floor of intertubercular groove. And the deltoid muscle insert deltoid tuberosity, common flexor origin from medial epicondyle and common extensor origin from lateral epicondyle. Okay, you can see this is supraspinatus, this is infraspinatus, and this is teres minor insert to greater tubercle. This is subscapularis muscle insert to lesser tubercle. This is pectoralis major insert to lateral lip of bicipital groove or intertubercular sulcus. This is latissimus dorsi insert floor of bicipital groove. This is teres major insert medial lip of bicipital groove. And this is deltoid insert into deltoid tuberosity anterolateral surface of mid shaft. And this is common extensor tendon origin from lateral epicondyle, and this is common flexor tendon origin medial epicondyle. And also you can see coracobrachialis insertion medial surface of midshaft, and the brachialis origin anterior surface of lower half of humerus. And this is brachioradialis and extensocarpiradialis longus origins from lateral supracondylar ridge. and this is pronator teres origin from medial supracondylar ridge. And this is the tricep origin from posterior surface of humerus. And also posterior surface of lateral epicondyle give two origin, supinator and the anconeus. Okay, now we learn about proximal humerus fracture. Main proximal humerus fracture is surgical neck fracture. This is surgical neck fracture. Causes are fall on the outstretched hand or direct blow. Effects are may injury to two structures, axillary nerve and posterior circumflex humeral artery. If axillary nerve damage leads to loss of abduction due to deltoid paralysis and sensory loss over the shoulder region. Okay, now we learn about shaft of humerus fracture. The common site is middle third of shaft. Middle third of shaft like this. And middle third of shaft related to two structure, radial nerve and profunda brachial artery in spiral groove. If damage to radial nerve, it leads to wrist drop. This is wrist drop due to radial nerve injury. In this patient can't extend hand due to paralysis of the extensor compartment of forearm muscle, because the extensor compartment of forearm muscle is supplied by the radial nerve. Okay, now we learn about distal humerus fracture. There are two types, supracondylar fracture and medial epicondylar fracture. This is supracondylar fracture and this is medial epicondylar fracture. Supracondylar fracture common in children. Causes are fall on outstretched hand with elbow flex, and supracondylar fracture leads to injury to four structure. They are median nerve, radial nerve, ulnar nerve and the brachial artery. You can see this is the radial nerve, this is the ulnar nerve, and median nerve and brachial artery go in this pathway. Okay, if damage to brachial artery, it leads to Wolmark ischemic contraction. Wolmark ischemic contraction means it is loss of blood supply to forearm and forearm muscles become fibrosis. So leads to contraction like this. Next one is medial epicondylar fracture. Mechanism of forearm forcibly abducted. This is the medial epicondylar fracture. You can see medial epicondyle related to ulnar nerve. So may injured ulnar nerve. If ulnar nerve injured, it leads to ulnar claw hand. Its symptoms is tingling in fourth and fifth digits. Now we learn about important relation summary. Surgical neck, radial groove and distal neck. Surgical neck related to axillary nerve and posterior circumflex artery. Radial groove in shaft related to axillary nerve and profunda brachial artery. Distal end or medial epicondyle related to ulnar nerve. And clinical terms, important clinical terms, lateral epicondylitis. It is inflammation of common extensor origin and also called tennis elbow. And funny burn, it is tingling sensation due to ulnar nerve compression at medial epicondyle. Also you can experience this tip to the medial epicondyle by your finger. And Volkmann's ischemic contraction, it is fibrosis and contraction of forearm muscle due to brachial artery compression after supracondylar fracture due to loss of blood supply. And finally, thank you, best wishes. Subscribe my channel, like and share this video. We will meet in the next video.